Dominic, first, I just want to thank you for doing this interview. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you being here.
You're welcome, Amanda. Yeah.
What are some of your biggest accomplishments in business and in social media?
In business and social media. I'm very proud of how I was able to figure out how to make it work without reaching out for outside help, which isn't optimal, but I'm fiercely independent, and so this is like a bragging point in my head. I'm glad that I'm competent and capable of figuring out something that's in front of me. So that's something that I'm really proud of.
There's a lot of people that What are some things that you've accomplished through learning it yourself? What have you been able to do on your own?
I took my social media following, which it was around like 30,000 on Instagram, just from competing, and I grew it up to almost 400,000 today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and my YouTube following, I've got it up to over 100,000 now. I've been able to maximize the amount of return I get on my hour of effort. For instance, teaching a class that takes me an hour can now pay me back for years and years and years versus trading a one-for-one time for money. And I'm really super proud that I'm able to like free up my time through exploring like online business and like social media and stuff like that. Yeah.
So before we jump into like what you've accomplished and everything in jiu-jitsu and on your social media channels, what were you doing before this?
I was a jiu-jitsu freak. I was just a jiu-jitsu creature, Amanda. I would just train 2 or 3 times a day. My waking life was either training, eating, or sleeping, or talking about jiu-jitsu. That's all I did. Obsessed. I did that in competing. I did that for close to 10 years, and then stepped out of it and realized, okay, I'm getting older. My body is kind of like slowing down. I need to build an infrastructure for my future, and that's kind of when I started going into social media.
I did not know that you were doing jiu-jitsu for 10 years. Before turning it into an actual business. I
was practicing for 15 years total. I have practiced for 15 years total, but I competed intensely for 10 years. Like singular focus, just chasing accolades and grinding my entire life away to push this skill as high as I could physically. And then I kind of like hit that point where I was getting negative returns on what I was pursuing. Tournaments were more like a risk to my body and like my long-term health. They weren't giving me money back. It was all like a selfish endeavor, and so then I had to kind of shift and think like how do I build like financial security for my life.
So I think that I read online that you were in the Army. Is that right?
Yeah, I was in the Army for 5 years. That was my first job. Yeah.
And is that where you discovered anything about jiu-jitsu, or how did you discover jiu-jitsu?
I actually discovered jiu-jitsu. I was aware of it early on, but I started training it because one of the fry cooks on base, his name was John. He's a brown belt, just this grizzled, like kind of like manic guy. He would teach us jiu-jitsu in the basement of like the bowling alley on base, and it was just like gymnastics mats that were old and hand-me-down, rolled out, and we would have like mismatched gis, and he would just teach us jiu-jitsu like 2 or 3 times a week, and I got so obsessed. It wasn't what I thought it was when I saw it from the outside, and then once I started learning it just something about the way my brain works, I latched on and I could not let go.
Was jiu-jitsu the first thing that you did that was like any kind of a sport, or were you into sports before that?
I never did sports. I stayed inside and played video games and drew. That's all I did. I was not active as a kid.
So were you doing anything that was healthy before that? Like, were you already living a healthy lifestyle?
I would say because I was in the military, I was living a very healthy lifestyle. I mean, we run all the time. We do physical fitness. I think I started living a very healthy lifestyle once I had the vehicle of jiu-jitsu, and like a healthy lifestyle just helps you express that skill more, so it naturally just kind of was this synergistic thing. Like I needed to go to sleep early, and I needed to eat right, and I needed to run, and I needed to lift because it would help me do my skill better. And so I wouldn't miss a day. Like I was very dedicated to it, and that's kind of like where my health and fitness journey began.
Yeah, so now we're getting into the good stuff, because I really want to highlight how health and fitness and wellness can actually help us in business, right? Help us in the thing that we are passionate about, the thing that we want to do extraordinarily. So how did you notice, like, if you weren't taking care of yourself, if you didn't eat the right things, if you weren't getting enough rest, if you weren't getting the recovery and like how would that impact you, and what did you realize like not taking care of yourself and how you performed versus when you took care of yourself and how you performed?
That's a great question. I think not speaking on just physical performance, but just business pursuits, I realized when I would not take care of myself, meaning I wouldn't get the sleep that I needed, I wasn't hydrating myself, I wasn't moving my body, it would hinder my ability to focus and drive into goals, like put hard work in towards goals, because I would hit that wall sooner, that wall of like, hey, stop doing this, like this is hard, like that voice in your brain that makes you want to take the easy route. And it was kind of distracting not to have those pieces in place and not feel good in my body and creative and alive and alert when I needed to like be creative and alive and alert for like, especially doing social media, creating like creative content. You have to be very sharp mentally to be able to consistently do that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So what are some of the health practices that you do continuously that help you in performing and in business?
I would say I still do jiu-jitsu as a practice, so movement, creativity. I love doing yoga just for the full range of motion, the meditative aspect, kind of like slowing down like that rushed feeling you have all the time. By the time you finish a yoga session, it feels like mentally you're in a blank slate, and it's good to have that refresh every now and then, because I feel like as an entrepreneur, we're kind of always working mentally.
Always.
Yeah, and that can kind of burn you out. So that's a practice that I really like to keep up. And then just making sure like I'm eating right, I'm not super strict with my diet, but I do feel it if I'm like overindulgent or I'm not eating the right things or not giving my body enough of what it needs, especially if I'm lifting and doing jiu-jitsu. It can kind of start to slow me down a little bit.
So you're not a fanatic or a freak about the things that you eat. If you do eat something bad or that's not good for you, what are the effects of that? Do you feel anything? Do you feel an impact in how you think? Just your mental clarity and your energy?
I think it's the mental clarity and energy I feel the most, especially if I'm in a little phase where I'm not moving as much to kind of keep the furnace burning. I'll just feel slower mentally. I won't feel as excited to start the day. I just feel kind of like this general sluggishness that I don't feel if I'm just on top of like my timing for my meals, making sure they all have a balanced macro profile, making sure I'm drinking enough water. Like you definitely feel the effect if you do that consistently versus like consistently not hitting those marks.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you have any non-negotiables? Like no matter what, like you won't do something or you won't touch something or you won't eat anything?
I wouldn't say it's a non-negotiable, but the only limiter I have, because my diet is pretty healthy already, I will indulge, but if I have indulged, I'm not going to do it again and again and again. It's like a indulgence, and then I have like movement, and then I keep on my normal diet routine, and then I feel like, okay, I've got some wiggle room here if I want to like be a little bit more indulgent.
Yeah.
So the only hard no is like I'm not going to go somewhere and like eat a bunch of cake and pizza, and then the next day what am I going to eat for dinner and lunch? I'm not going to like stack it.
Do that back to back.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I'm the same way, where it's like if I eat something, I know that it's going to impact me, but it's a choice I'm going to make, and I know that there's going to be an impact. I know that there's going to be some kind of an effect to that, but it's a choice. And I feel like if I allow myself to have something every once in a while, then I don't crave it as much. But if I'm not allowed to have it at all, it's almost like I want it more. Do you feel like it's the same for you?
Absolutely, yeah. It's the balance, yeah. It's the balance of like not going too hard in one direction and then swinging wildly in the other direction with cravings, but also the balance of just like having a fulfilling human experience, Cake is good, pizza is good. You shouldn't like deny yourself that, as far as you know, you only have one life.
We're wired for pleasure.
Yeah.
And it feels good to eat those things, but if I'm hearing you correctly, and like my whole approach is to be able to indulge every once in a while, but it's not a lifestyle, it's a treat.
Yes.
And and I don't even crave it often, but when I do, sometimes I like have a healthier version of that thing.
Yeah.
Like coconut milk, like ice cream or something like that, or like a healthy version, like cauliflower pizza, right? Yeah. You're the same.
I would say I indulge.
You do it?
Like if it's time to
you're like, no, I'm going all the way.
Yes.
I'm going all the way in.
If I'm gonna do it, like I'm gonna get the Ben & Jerry's Cherry Garcia. I'm definitely gonna. But like that's gonna be one moment, and then moving on. Like I'm training, I'm moving my body. My next training sessions are gonna be more intense because I know I have more fuel in there, and yeah, I balance it with movement, and yeah, if I'm going to indulge, I'll just go all the way. If I have been indulging for a while, I'll take the coconut ice cream.
Okay.
And I won't hate it, but I'll be thinking about Ben and Jerry.
Ben and Jerry. Okay.
Yeah.
If you had to ban one piece of fitness advice that people keep repeating on social media, what would it be?
I think the one that comes to mind doesn't even really relate to me, but it's one I hear a lot of my friends talk about that are getting into lifting. My friends that are women will get into lifting and they don't want to lift upper body at all because they don't want to turn into like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, this is just like my opinion coming from like an athletic background and like sport kind of like, perspective. I think a strong body is a healthy body and a happy body. I think just balance, like fitness, is a good thing for me. And I know people's goals are different, but I also don't agree that like you're gonna do a couple bicep curls and then like the next day you wake up and you're like, damn it, like you just got these pythons. Yeah. That's probably the one that's in the front of my head just because I've had a few conversations about it. I'm actually curious about your opinion on that because your physique is insane. You obviously do a lot of work on yourself.
Thank you.
So you seem like you have a balanced fitness routine. What do you think about that? Not to flip the interview on you.
Yeah, no, I think that, I think to each their own. Like, there's no, like, I've had people tell me that I should build my traps more. I'm like, but what if I don't want to build my traps? It's about me and what I see in the mirror. I want to be happy with myself in the mirror, but I train for mental health, emotional health, physical health. When I get older, I have the capability of being able to take care of myself. So making sure that I'm strength training, just to make sure that physically, I can take care of myself, and age gracefully. Being intentional about like what kind of a body do we want? Do we want to be more lean and have more lean, slender muscles, or do we want to actually bulk up? And it has to be super intentional, especially for women. We have to be very intentional about wanting to bulk up and wanting to be big. And I agree, like most women don't want that. For the women that do, like good for them, but it has to be super intentional with getting a ton of protein, like doing like power reps. Like it's very intentional. So
just to clarify, my disagreement isn't with somebody wanting a certain type of body. It's just with the idea that you can accidentally get way too strong in one area. Like I agree with you. Like it's
100%.
I always tell them, I'm like, well, it's an intentional choice. Like you're gonna have to put in work to like do that. You're not gonna stumble
especially
across.
For women.
Yeah,
like maybe steroids.
So
also on top of that, what's been harder to build, your body or business?
Business.
Yeah?
Definitely business. Yeah, definitely business. I feel like movement came pretty naturally to me, but I didn't grow up around like business or like that kind of mindset or like creating something for yourself. It's all super new frontier for me. 100% absolutely business. Not the creative side of it. Social media and like making something that keeps someone's attention and like transferring knowledge and information in an entertaining way. That came easy to me, but like the other stuff, sales funnels and like sales copy and like just optimizing everything and like getting a person to know who you are and then bring them all the way along until they want the value you provide. That was the hardest part for me.
I think that a lot of people, especially in the space of health, fitness, and wellness, the discipline, like some people would call it discipline, right? Like the discipline of taking care of your body or the discipline of eating healthy, of getting rest and all these things comes very natural. But the other side of it, of actually building a business around it and charging what you're worth and everything that you just said, like the sales funnels, all those kinds of things, doesn't come naturally for most people. What helped you to increase those skill sets of like learning how to build a business? Because I know you said you did it on your own, but for it not to come naturally to you, how are you able to learn it and to be able to excel in it?
I want to credit two of my friends. One of them is my previous partner, actually, like long-term partner, but we still kind of like work in the same bubble. And the other is my friend Alex. It's Alex and Heather. Just having people around you that you can kind of like, hey, what do you think of this from your unbiased perspective, and having them give you that outside perspective is super, super helpful, especially them having their own expertise. So I would say like going forward and learning the skills and trying things, but having a circle of people around you that have similar goals that can kind of like give you a little bit of, shifting, like, hey, this isn't hitting how you think it is, maybe try this, I've tried this. That is like extremely helpful, because you might go in a direction that isn't benefiting you,
100%,
or like make a wrong turn, so it's really nice to have people, I would say, people around you.
Community, mentorship. I did not do this on my own at all. Shout out to my coach, Anthony Manaya. Health and fitness and wellness came very natural to me as well, but the business side of it, I had no clue. So having people, mentors, community, someone that you trust, someone to give feedback that's kind of going down the same route or has already been down that road to be able to give feedback, I find it to be really, really helpful, useful, and almost impossible without. Would you agree?
I think it would be close to impossible. I think you doing it in a vacuum it's so incredibly much more difficult that just to reach out and get a little bit of help is going to alleviate so much of the difficulty. It doesn't make sense not to. I think it's interesting. Like I hear a lot of people speak about mentorship, and I've never taken a mentor, but I keep hearing it over and over, and it's making me want to move in that direction. I think I have a hard time believing that someone successful would want me to also be successful, and I think this comes from maybe my upbringing, a just hardwired scarcity mindset or something I'm projecting onto other people. I'm curious to hear how mentorship works for you. How do you even find someone that's far above you and say hey, help me get there? What do they get out of it?
Yeah, there has to be some kind of an exchange, right? So for me, I pay my coach 5 figures a year, but it had to be someone that I truly admired, someone that I really believed could help me, someone that I think really had a genuineness about wanting to help. It wasn't just about the money. He genuinely cared. So I knew him for 15 years. I had seen all his growth and saw his consistency throughout the years. And so I approached him and said, hey, this is something that I want. This is something that I need. And so we've been working together for 6+ years. But I do think that finding a mentor, finding a coach, I feel like they're around every corner now. But finding a good one is really rare. Those are gems. But I think that mentorship is the best thing that I ever invested in.
Dang.
Yeah. the number one investment of my life. It completely changed my life.
Wow. I think I have this thing about me, Amanda, where imagine me as a little kid going in the kitchen and making a peanut butter jelly sandwich, and my little sister comes in and she makes the same thing. She pulls out the bread, I am enraged. I'm so toxically independent that thinking about getting help from someone else, or it's really difficult for me to pull somebody into what I'm doing. So the people that I bounce ideas off and get help from, they are so close to me already that it's, even then I'm struggling with collaborating mentally with somebody. I like having control over everything, and the plateau I hit is I now have to delegate things, and I can't do everything anymore, even though I can do it really well. And so it's always been my thing. My limiting factor is receiving help and delegating, and
100%.
But you speaking about mentorship is watering that seed for sure.
Yeah. But I agree with you. I'm a control freak too. I have done everything in my own business alone. I'm the lone wolf. It's I'll get it done. I don't trust anyone who's gonna get it done as good as I can get it done. But same as you, I reached a cap where I got to the point where it's I can only get myself to this point. There are only so many hours in the day while taking care of myself, right? Getting enough sleep, being able to, self-care, wellness, and all those things. So getting to the point where I am bringing people on the team, I am actually starting to create a community, which is something that I fought for a long time, was building community. I'm the lone wolf. Lone wolves don't build communities, so I thought. So I have my own barriers that I'm breaking through, but I think that we're at a point in time right now where community is everything. Influencers are kind of going away, and it really is about who can build a good, solid community. So I think we're getting to that point where it's that's the new thing. That's the new influencer, is the one that's able to build a really strong community. So what are your thoughts on community? Because I know that you're also doing some mentorship or some coaching now as well. So
I think I value community a lot. I don't like I've never been one to bring a community together other than like on the mats, and it all just happened kind of like organically. It wasn't something that it was never something that I like actively valued, but I was reaping the benefits of and generating just through like being in like a jiu-jitsu gym. Now as I'm like moving from gym to gym, and like I've lost communities before and I felt the absence of it, I realize how important it is to have a community and nourish a community. And so it's interesting, like my core identity is like very solo in my own world, and so it's outside of my comfort zone, but I am pushing to actively like build something like that. And it's something that I crave now, in business and just socially in life, and I think it's something that's super important. I have like a little bit of a community business wise now. It's pretty small, but it's growing, and it's just so beneficial. It just multiplies like the amount of energy and thought you can put towards any kind of goal that you have. You know, it's extremely invaluable. And it was hard for me to see that when it could just be me, goal, I see A to Z, and I just go in one direction. And that's always been like, I'm very result driven. So like, that's always been kind of the feedback is like, okay, Dom knows what he wants. There it is. Okay, let's go. And don't focus on anything else. It doesn't have to be that way. It can be like a collective kind of like dispersion of like effort. And I don't know, I value it. It's something that I'm learning, you know. So
I'm not sure if you can relate to this, but for me, I think once I got to the point where I was so passionate about something, it's like I want to talk to other people who are passionate about the same thing. That's where the community building aspect came into play for me, or the desire to have a community. Is like, I have this mission or this vision. This is something that I truly enjoy talking about, and I just want other people to come together and talk about those same things. Do you feel like that's that you reached that point too, and like wanting to build community? It's not so much like a goal that you're going towards on your own, but more so like, I just want to build a community around the thing that we all agree that we're interested in.
I think it depends on my community. I think socially it's very much driven by that, just like collective shared interests and like, you know, way of like moving through the world, or even different ways of moving through the world, but they're synergistic and interesting. And then the business community is more like I want you to succeed, and I'm going to put as much energy as I can into making sure that I can help you succeed, and then it just kind of like you just get it back, you know. That's more how I think about it, which is like flip opposite of how I operate. So it's like there's friction there for me. That's how it works for me and the community that I operate in as far as business. Is like, let me know what your goals are. Okay, if I'm your goals are now like my goals in my head. So if I see an opportunity or a thought or an idea or a direction I think you should go or correction you should make, I'm going to make sure that I do it as if I'm you. You know,
100%. And that makes a great coach, by the way. That's amazing mentorship. Is like, your goals are now my goals. Now, like, let's go after them together. And I think that's the thing that I've valued in being mentored, and also being a mentor to other people, is like those shared goals. Like, your goals became my goals, and that actually being a real thing. And to feel that, like, who else is going to back you up and really be passionate about achieving your goals? A mentor. I'm going to do some quick fire ones.
Okay.
What's one word to describe entrepreneurship, and what's one word to describe fitness?
Entrepreneurship, risk, and fitness, consistency.
Like it. If your future kids ChatGPT'd, not Googled, you in 20 years, what do you hope the first headline would say?
He was fitted. No, I'm just kidding.
He was ripped.
He had that shit on. He had great delts. I hope it's something to the effect of he improved many people's lives in some way, like lifted people's lives up.
And he had a great head of hair.
I'm glad today was a good hair day, because sometimes it's not. I got out of my bed and I looked in the mirror. I was like, okay, we're working with something here. I don't have to postpone this.
It looks good. What's the hardest truth about building a brand on social media that no one wants to admit?
Oh, that's a good one. I guess the thing that's coming to my mind is you're gonna have to be like a little bit embarrassed and like mess it up, and it's probably not gonna be a home run right away. It's gonna be an evolution. I know that's more than one word, but building a brand, you're gonna have to be embarrassed. You're gonna have to put yourself out there a little bit.
Did you care about what people thought about you in the beginning?
Yes.
Do you now?
Do I now? No.
Do you now?
No, absolutely not. No.
How did you overcome that?
How did I overcome it? I think I just trusted in the end vision where I wanted to be, and I trusted that this was part of the process. If something is required to get to my goal and it feels uncomfortable, I try to make that discomfort my signal that I'm growing. And so, yeah, trusting that that's where I need to go and this is what I need to do, and the discomfort is a good thing. If I'm not uncomfortable, I'm not growing, I'm not pushing outside of my edge, you know?
100%. I like that.
Can I tell you a story about this real quick?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so when I was first getting into social media, and I'm like, I'm going all in. I'm gonna consistently post every day for like 60 days. I was still like competing and with the competition team, and like your merit there, your value is based on your accolades and your accomplishments, like in the tournaments. And so like that metric carries over to like your Instagram following, your online following. And when mine started growing so fast, faster than like the top people in our class, I was getting like some slack. Like I was getting like little comments and stuff like
haters,
almost like you don't deserve it because you're not working within our value system. And that was super hard because at that time I was shedding my identity as a hardcore competitor and adopting some new nebulous thing that hasn't even taken shape yet, but I'm going in that direction. And I'm standing in line, and like I remember one of my teammates made a comment like, oh, there's the influencer, and like a bunch of people laughed, and my whole face got hot, and I'm like struggling in that moment, like, dang, like thinking about Dom with a shaved head just mauling people in like Portugal, and now I'm like making videos like 3 techniques to fucking, you know. And I just, in that moment, I had to be like, you know what, you guys are not seeing the vision, and that's okay. Like I'm in the tribe, and the tribe doesn't, you know, align with what I'm doing, so maybe this tribe is not where I need to be. And that was really, really hard, and that's like part of the reason I kind of like moved out of that community, is like it just didn't have space for what I wanted to do. And I believe in what I want to do. I feel like the direction I'm going is to share jiu-jitsu with as many humans as possible, and I think I have an ability to bridge the gap between this thing that they look at it and they're like, that looks crazy, like there's a huge barrier here, like, you know, I can bridge that gap and give them the fulfillment that I've gotten very well, and that's my goal. And I think I feel like on the way I want to make a living for myself, but also I think it's my selfless gift back to people. Jiu-jitsu is very like fulfilling for you, and if I can get as many people into it as possible, I think I'm lifting up the people around me.
So you made some good points there. Do you feel like a lot of relationships have ended in the pursuit of, in you pursuing business and building this following and building these channels and making an impact in the jiu-jitsu world? A lot of relationships ended and died, and if so, why, do you think? And then have you grown into a different community and how they supported you?
Yes, I don't like to use the language died. They're still there, and like I don't like to leave any relationship less than amicable. So like it's just like it ended. It
separated.
Chapters closed, you know? Yeah, absolutely. I think my old identity was accepted, and my new identity is more difficult to accept. And so I've definitely moved into a different space with beautiful, lovely people that share like the same goals as me and ambitions. 100%. And so I'm happy with where I am, and I love the people around me, and it's so cool that you can grow in this way in life. And
would you say it's worth it?
Yes. Yeah. Otherwise you just sit in one place and like, yeah, absolutely. I think it's worth it. Yeah, I would do it again for sure.
What would you say to the person that's scared that those relationships will be impacted if they grow, or if their identity changes in them in pursuit of greatness, in pursuit of going after their dreams and making their visions come to life? What would you say to that person?
I think don't be scared if your snow globe gets shaken up, because it'll settle again. And I think just trust yourself that you will end up where you need to be, because you'll make the decisions like based on your intuition or your rationale that'll lead you where you're supposed to be. Just trust yourself, and floating without, you know, oars to guide you for a bit, you know, you'll end up where you're supposed to be if you trust yourself.
Okay, I like that. In a sport obsessed with belts and medals, how do you measure success and fulfillment?
I have like a very literal one, and then I have like a very like,
let's hear both.
The literal one is if I'm able to eat the food I want, because I love eating food. If I'm able to do the practice that I want, so jiu-jitsu or move or whatever way, I'm surrounded by people that love me, and I'm in the place that I want to be, and I can be creative and draw, I've succeeded. As long as I'm able to do those and slowly increase my quality of life without like removing any of those, I feel like I succeeded a long time ago. I just am keep continuing to go in this direction because it pays me back.
Awesome.
You know? Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
It was beautiful. It really was. What's one habit that fuels your energy?
Riffing bits with baristas, like going.
I did not expect that.
Yes, fuels my energy before I even get the coffee. It's like we're doing improv for a second, and the energy gets so high and it's so funny that by the time I get my coffee, I go to my class and like my day is peaked right there. That's my favorite thing. Just being energized by like talking to people in my most authentic way is supercharging for me.
What's something that a barista said to you that you can recall right now that was just got you on one that you remember?
One was I have this stupid bit where like I'll do a throat chop. I'll just kind of like, what's going on with the lights? Boom, throat chop. yeah. Like not hard, but like it's just keep you frosty, you know.
What's that light up there?
Right in the neck. Yes. And then time had gone by, and I came in and I was kind of sleepy, and I didn't feel like riffing bits that day, and they were like kind of sleepy, and then they like point up, and I'm like, huh? Right in the neck. Got me, and that was kind of like that was funny that they gave it back to me. Yeah.
Baristas freaking watch out in San Diego.
Yeah, it's coming right here.
I think I might take that, and I might start chopping baristas.
Yeah, pull it back a little bit. No wind up. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and end it with a daily dopamine question.
Cool.
Okay, the question is, what was your first impression of me, and how do you view me now?
Extremely affable and positive, and like very good energy, very driven and focused, open to challenges, head first into challenges, not timid about like difficult like situations. I would say my view of you is very similar to when I first met you.
Right after this interview.
I know.
Yeah,
right now.